Today, I'm going to be showing you how to do this. Bro. Before we begin, I wanted to mention this video's sponsor, Skillshare.com, which is an online learning community for creators with over 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. So whether you want to fuel your curiosity, your creativity, or even your career, Skillshare is the perfect place to do just that. For instance, you're about to watch my tutorial that relies on SVG, but you could watch this full SVG course and others at Skillshare. Skillshare is also super affordable with an annual subscription of being less than $10 a month. But if you're one of the first 500 people to click on the link here in the description in YouTube, then you get the first 2 months 100% free. So join up. Hey everyone, what's up? Gary Simon of Coursetro.com. Yes, I'm not behind my regular environment. That's because I'm revamping my whole studio setup. Maybe it'll be ready soon. I'm sorry, I know you wanted to see my room so bad. But anyhow, today we're gonna be talking about CSS clip path and using SVG specifically to create this tutorial or this little project from scratch. So if I refresh just to show you one more time, we'll see we have some sort of interesting animation taking place that's filling up this whole nav container, and what's happening here is there's multiple clip paths that we're animating with the help of GSAP, which is the Greenstock animation platform. I have a bunch of tutorials and a crash course on it if you've never heard of it before, but it's a JavaScript animation library. But yeah, the core focus of this tutorial is to show you how to use and also animate clip paths to really add an extra, I don't know, sort of style to your animation and your user interfaces as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, but first make sure to subscribe. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here in Visual Studio Code. I have a blank folder open called Clippy, and we're going to create a new file, index.html. Oh my God, put your fingers in the right place, index.html. Hit exclamation point for emit HTML templating there, and then we're going to put in a link to a CSS file that doesn't yet exist in main.css. Let's create CSS folder, and main.sass we'll use. We're going to need to, as always, we're going to need to use the SASS reloader or to watch it, and you probably don't see this if you don't have it installed. So come over here to your extensions and type in SASS. And I have, which one do I have? Live SASS compiler. This is the one I have installed. Install that. Also use type in live reload, live server rather. And this is something we're also going to use. So install both of those and then just restart your Visual Studio Code. All right, so then we can click watch SASS real quick. Nothing to really watch just yet. And we will come over here to index.html. We'll just get the actual HTML ready first. Control B to get rid of that sidebar. And what we'll do is, let's see here. Actually, we'll leave the sidebar because I don't want my head and my new location getting in the way of the code. So let's put first just the HTML that we're going to need, not the SVG. So we'll put in button, and we're just going to have, I don't know, an ID of open. And we'll just say open nav. Ordinarily, you would probably want like some other icon for that, but I'm lazy. Then we're going to put in a div here of class wrapper. All right, and the reason I'm going to encase the nav element in a wrapper is just specifically for making this position relative, and then we'll make the element inside of it, or this element rather, the wrapper, overflow none, so that when we do the animation on the sidebar and it comes in from the right side of the browser, it's not going to create vertical or horizontal scroll bars. All right, so nav ul li a, and then we will type in nothing for that, and I'm just going to type in just some stupid random words. Well, it's not really random. It's sort of a sentence. All right, there we go. And then down here, we'll put in just a paragraph of lorem ipsum. There we go. All right, and that's all. No, it's not all. Outside of the wrapper, we're gonna have an h1 element with bro. Whoa. So stupid. Okay, so now at this point, let's go to our main.sass and let's get the CSS going for this real quickly. So I'm not going to hand type all this because I want this to go quicker, because really this stuff isn't pertinent to the purpose of this tutorial. I will hand type it when we get to the actual reason you're here, which is the clip path stuff. So body, HTML, height 100%, nothing fancy happening here. And then we're going to have, let's see, we're going to have our wrapper. All right, and inside of this, remember I mentioned we're going to have position relative overflow hidden. That will get rid of the impending or horizontal scroll bar. Nested inside of here with our SASS nesting here, we have our nav element. As you can see, we have a width of 20%, so it's going to take up 1/5 of the horizontal space. We're floating it right, background color, height, nothing important yet with exception to this element, which I'm going to go ahead and hide that or comment it rather. We'll get to that in a little bit. Our UL element, we're just going to set the list style type to none. That gets rid of the stupid bullet points that we never want for the most part. Also inside of here, we're going to have our list items. Actually, because list item is empty, we can just do this. There we go. And then outside of that, we're going to have a paragraph element. And I'm just setting this to like a, as you can see, we're using purple, so this is like a light pink right here. And then we close up this UL element right there. And then that element, and then that element. I think, okay, that's it. That's all we need. There we go. All right, and then after that, we have our H1 element. Again, nothing crazy happening here. And then also we have we have a big rule set for our button. So position absolute, top right, margin, font size, background border, color padding, cursor. Again, nothing that's pertinent to the purpose of this tutorial. I'm just styling the button and have a hover rule set for it. All right, and that's it for now. So let's save this and let's right click and open with live server. All right, as you can see, by default, we see this nav element, which isn't what we want. What we want by default is this to basically be hidden. All right, and also we're going to have this animate in right after the navigation shows up. So let's get to that, shall we? All right, so let's get our GSAP animation in working. I think before we do that though, I do want to show what clip path is. So we're going to create the SVG elements up here. So we're just going to have a single SVG element. Emmett isn't using that obviously, so we'll do it ourselves. We're going to have a defs tag, all right? So when you're setting up a clip path, you have to include it into two different tags. First, the defs tag, and then also the clip path tag. And we're going to give it an ID of just clip path. All right, so any of your SVG elements now can go inside of this clip path. All right, you're not going to see these elements though, but they're only going to be placed. They're going to be basically it's going to reveal whatever element that we have specified for the clip path right here. So obviously we have it placed on our nav element, but we're just commenting it. I'm going to leave it uncommented for a second though. So we can put in here, you can go into your favorite vector drawing application. You can go in wherever you want. It could be XD, it could be Illustrator, and create your own SVG shapes that you can place inside of a clip path. I'm just going to keep this simple, and we're just going to create a circle so we don't have to step into another application. I'm just going to give this a class 1. CX is going to be 200. This is basically the position of it, X and Y. this is going to be 400. And then R for radius is the size, is going to be 1300. All right, and I'm also going to put in a transform. Well, for now, I'm going to leave that blank right here. So we're just going to close that off, and we'll save it, and you'll see we're not going to see anything at this point in terms of you know, any type of like circle. And so we're going to uncomment this and save it, and then also we're going to go right over here and add another rule set. All right, so we're going to add SVG. All right, so we'll just do it right here. We're going to say position absolute, top is 0, right is 0. You could use left 0 as well. Width 100% and height 100%. All right, we can see that this whole area is completely filled out. It looks like nothing really changed, and that's because this right here, we have a really large circle, and it's basically encompassing the entire area of that navigation. So if we change this to something like 300, smaller, and save, we'll see now we can only see just this circle that we've defined. Now what's really cool about this is we can add animation to this either through regular CSS keyframe animations, or we could also, if we want to have something more elaborate in terms of animation sequences, we can use GSAP or any of the other JavaScript-based animation libraries out there. So in our case, we're going to use GSAP, which is Green Sock Animation Platform. I have a bunch of tutorials on it, also a crash course. Just look through my channel, search, and find that. So let's go ahead and just use the CDN version. I'm just going to copy and paste it. If you just go to Google and type in GSAP CDN, the one we want is tweenmax.min.js. We're going to put a script tag here, just write our very simple JavaScript down here. So first we're going to create an instance of the timeline. All right, so we'll say var tl equals new timeline max. Paused is true. All right, so I guess initially we don't have to pause it. We will add this in after though, because we want it to only work when somebody clicks on something, not right when the page loads. So when we're experimenting now, you're going to see it will actually only work. It'll work just right when the page loads. So from, we're going to say TL from. So you can either use the to or the from method. You can look up the docs. I also explain it a little bit better in my other videos. We're going to first target not the SVG, because we will target the SVG circle element here to animate that clip path. But we're first going to have our nav come in from the side. So it's good, like I said, it's going to be simultaneous animations occurring. So just our nav element. You could also put an ID or a class there. Next parameter is 1 for the delay, just 1 second. And then we're going to open this up in an object. So we're going to say from the X position, which is the horizontal location, we'll say it's going to come from 100 pixels to the right of its starting position, essentially. So then we're going to say display none, because remember, we're going from this value. So this is going to hide it, because this is where it's going from. This is going to be the starting point of it. And then we're going to say ease. You can add in easing if you wish. Power to ease out. If you want to see all the available easing options that GSAP has to offer, just go to Google and type GSAP easing, and then you'll get the first result, and you'll see there's a nice demonstration of them working as well in action. Delay, we're just going to set that to 0. We're leaving it there just because I'm going to copy and paste this and change this for the other steps here first. So let's save this and refresh. All right, so we can see it's just kind of sliding in over like that. So if you wanted it to come even more, you could put like 300, for instance, like that. Very, very simple stuff. Okay, so now let's continue on. We're going to say, this time, we're going to use the to method. So TL2, all right? So we're going to say circle dot one, because remember we are going to have multiple circles here. So we're going to say 3 seconds for this one, and we're going to open this up, and we're going to say scale will be 1. And by the way, we're going to add a transform property here, which we can add on SVG here, scale 0. So we're going to go from 0 to 1 down here. All right, and then next after that, we're going to put in X is going to be 0. Y is going to be negative 1300. We're going to say ease will be the same ease here, ease out. And then we'll also have another parameter down here after the object, and that is going to be the offset. So we put a quote. We want it to be a negative offset, so we put negative equals, and this is all GSAP stuff. And we're going to say 1, because if we don't add this parameter, this right here, this call, will wait until this is completely finished. We want these to go simultaneously, so we're saying start at negative 1 second, and this happens to be 1 second as well. So you can experiment with these values. All right, so now let's see what happens. I'm not sure what the result yet will look like. And we can see that we can't see it, and that is because we changed our default value of 1300 to 300. So let's save this to make it larger. And now we're going to see this happen. All right, so we can see it just shows this top portion. And really, you could position this around and work with these 3 values along with the X and Y values. And you can just use perhaps just one circle. I wanted to show how you can use multiple clip paths. And so you can see how that one kind of takes in just the top portion. So let's add another circle real quickly. And we'll just give this a class of 2. And we need to position the X and Y in different areas. And again, you may be wondering, how did I know to make this 200 and 400 and 13? It was just experimentation. So I'm not going to sit here experimenting live while you guys wait for me to get it right. But that's what I did essentially to get this working. So what I found was negative 2200 and 1900 for the X and Y, and then 800 for this radius worked well. And then we're going to copy this. And for 2, the values I found that worked well is this is going to be a 4-second duration, a 1.8 scale. We're going to take 2900 here on the X and negative 500 here on the Y. And this will be, we'll start this at negative 3. Woohoo, okay, I messed something up there. Oh, and of course, I forgot to change this to 2. Let's give this a shot. And it's still f***ed up. Oh yes, that's because I forgot initially, if we come back to our SASS file, paste in, or specify rather, circle transform origin 50%, 50%, so it basically means the center of the item itself. There we go. Now we have it working as we want. Now to make this clickable, let's go ahead and let's see, we'll specify a click event listener on our button. So document, we're going to say get element by ID. That's going to be open. We're going to add an event listener, click. And inside of here, we're going to say this.tl.play. And that's a method that we can use. There's also stop, pause, I believe. There's reverse, so that if you wanted to add your own X icon to let people close it, you could do that as well. Just kind of toggle it. Paused is true. All right, so now let's give this a shot. So now we'll have this working in a second. But if we click it, there we go. So now let's go ahead and one final thing just for the fun of it. I'm not even going to bother typing it out. I'll just paste it from a different document. We're going to put in TL from rather for our H1 element. So we're going to go from an opacity of 0 down from 100 pixels. We're going to make it bounce for the easing and then all that other good stuff. So now we're at the final result. Normally you'd have your user interface of sorts. And there we go. And how about you guys, as your own little exercise, create an X icon so that people can click off of this. And of course you would specify that right here inside of the nav, perhaps as another link styled differently, like a close button right here. And then you could set this up in the JavaScript so that you add another click event listener for the close button, and then you can reverse the this right here. And you don't have to specify this code at all. You don't have to like reverse it. You can just call this.tl.reverse, I believe. And there we go. So awesome stuff. All right, so hopefully you found that enjoyable. Make sure to subscribe already. As it suggests here on the interface, I didn't change that. It just happened spontaneously. I think it's a sign. But yeah, hopefully now you can start using clip path as well as animation to really add an interesting sort of aesthetic to your animations and your user interfaces as well. Of course, this isn't just limited to navigation drawers that kind of pull out like this. There's a lot of other use cases. Just experiment with it essentially, and also experiment with those X and Y values. Try, it could be a little bit tricky to get the animation correct based on what you want, but just keep at it. All right, I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye.